It's not getting in.
Welcome everybody out there in podcast land. The Good Times with Good People Company proudly presents the Loft Party Podcast, where it is always about good times, good people, and good talk. Good. Now that you've received your invitation, join us. Grab a cocktail, light a cigar, or whatever you like to smoke. Tell a friend, and welcome to the party. I'm your host and moderator, Rio, and let's introduce today's panel. We've got, after a long hiatus, one half of the Brothers Grimm, the money half of the Brothers Grimm, Lane Boland. We have got Big Dave Elliott. He is the owner of C&P Construction. Ben Roberts, he is the Pendergast Club's bartender extraordinaire, and she will be joining us late, but anonymous female, because she doesn't want you to know her name. And today, on episode 48 of the Loft Party Podcast, I did. I met a Russian. When? So,
They all have that funny accent.
All right. So, just one thing before we get started. There was a lot of to-do made about Hillary and her email server when she was running, and then it came out recently that while governor, Mike Pence was not only using his own server, but he was using an AOL account.
Christ.
While the governor. I'm like, and
Doesn't get any more geriatric white than that.
and he was hacked. I'm like,
Of course he was.
There's one. Using AOL wasn't the smartest thing, because I used to be on Yahoo and I got hacked. Because it ain't no better than AOL.
Jesus.
But the interesting thing,
I'm like, people still have AOL accounts.
Here's Indiana law.
Yeah.
I looked this up. Indiana law states this: if you're going to do campaign business, you cannot use your state email to do personal campaign business, fundraising. All the communications with your campaigning has to be done on a personal account by Indiana law.
That makes sense, though.
So it makes sense.
Okay.
He didn't use the taxpayer dollars to do what is his personal business and campaigning. But like using AOL, yeah, probably not the smartest.
I don't think it was his campaign business that is alarming in this situation. It's that he was handling sensitive material via his personal email, and that's what
Yeah.
where the problem lies, and that's where people were stomping on Hillary for.
Well, let me ask you, how many of them out there in our government have probably done that and handled certain things on? I would venture to say over 75%.
So
Well, which is my
I
point.
didn't say that they weren't all stupid.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
which
I
is
wouldn't say that they weren't all doing the right thing,
Yeah.
or the wrong thing,
Yeah.
but they are definitely not thinking about what they're doing, and
Yeah.
this is the problem with all of our government people, is they think they're above everybody else.
Yep.
yeah. But I say, and that right there, it was really my real issue when people were saying they were having such issues with Hillary and her emails. It wasn't because I felt that Hillary was doing the right thing.
Agreed.
It was because if you're serious about what it is that you're saying, and I think most people are, then why aren't we talking about, like you say, the 50 to 70% of the other politicians doing the same thing?
Well,
It's a little
hypocrites.
hypocritical to go after
Hypocrites.
her, talking about lock her up
Yeah.
for emails when we know everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest thing though with Hillary though is because of all the relationships he had overseas and the combination of the foundation and the combination of the email server really parlayed itself into a much bigger deal than it would for most people. Because of the contacts she had and all the things she had going, all the money being raised, where the money came from.
Yeah.
You know, I think that created a much more larger scenario than it would for, say, Mike Pence using his AOL account.
Well, my issue with Pence using it is actually for the reason of this of the topic of today's.
What could that be about?
Well, you
Could it be Trump?
you did meet and talk to Russians. you did.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, so let's get right into and now no more buffers. Trump talk. Sad. So, how do you forget you met a Russian? I've met a couple, 3 Russians. I can remember every instance. As soon as they start talking, you know you met a Russian. I'm like, it's kind of crazy to even imply that I don't think I've ever met a Russian.
Well,
You met and had conversations with these people.
Yeah.
It's the same, and it's the literal same Russian that the other guy had to step down for.
Yeah,
Who was it?
yeah,
What was his name?
Sessions.
No, Sessions talked to the same Russian that Michael Flynn.
Yeah, Flynn.
Yeah.
Flynn got fired over.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Sessions had to recuse
and
himself
then-
from this investigation.
And then Jeff Sessions lies under oath about it. And let's please not operate under the assumption that he didn't have a memory of meeting with the same guy that Flynn got fired over.
I'm just like,
And
really?
Now, I heard Nancy Pelosi on CNN radio the other day. I was driving around with CNN. Believe it or not, I listened to them all.
I believe it. I believe it.
Saying that during her whole time, she'd been to a party where he was there, but she'd never met with him. And the next thing you know, here comes a picture of her and the same Russian ambassador. Hello, just take a selfie, come on. Once again, the hypocritical bullshit.
But she didn't lie to anybody about what she discussed with.
Well, put it like this: she didn't lie under oath to Congress
But
about meeting him.
she didn't tell the truth either, did she?
Yeah, but she's not in charge of shit that can mean much.
Oh,
Sessions is. That's the problem. Like, the guy who's in head of the department that investigates shit,
well, so
having to now recuse himself from any investigations.
I think you made a mistake on that, actually, because he was a member of the Intelligence Committee. It wasn't uncommon for them to meet with ambassadors.
Well, which
Now,
is what I mean.
so
Like,
it's
it's
how
not
it's- but it's how
necessarily
it's
a
said.
problem that he met with the Russian.
It's how it's said.
It's the fact that you tell the lie
Look-
under oath. That's the problem.
Look at the transcript. The question was, did you meet with the Russian ambassador basically concerning, and I'm not going to be able to quote it directly,
Yeah.
concerning the Trump campaign? That was what the question was. So if he met with the Russian ambassador and he didn't discuss campaign issues, he was discussing intelligence issues. Because, by God, they spy on us and we spy on them. It's an amazing thing. It's always been that way.
But the problem isn't the
Did he
question.
lie?
The problem isn't the question. The problem is his answer.
Right.
I've never met with a Russian. That's his actual answer to that question.
I think he didn't state himself well. I think
What,
that
which
he
is
was
very,
okay.
which is also a massive problem. You're you're in charge of a government agency that we have to look toward to investigate serious allegations,
Right.
and you're embroiled in a serious allegation.
Right.
So we've had one person of the Trump administration get fired for this same thing. Sessions now having to recuse himself. Somebody else stepped down for a different type of scandal. Manafort was found to had actually met with this, I think, the same freaking Russian ambassador.
Sure.
I'm like, what is going on over there?
And here's a thought: we almost yanked Bill Clinton out of presidency for lying about getting a low job, and yet Jeff Sessions isn't even going to be in remotely danger of losing his job over lying under oath about talking with the Russian ambassador.
I'm like, because at the end of the day,
It seems like there's more
Yeah,
consequence to Jeff Sessions.
you would think. I mean, at the end of the day, okay, let's be real. At the end of the day, should you be getting BJs from interns while the president of the United States? Absolutely not.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Will getting a BJ from an intern while the president endanger national security secrets? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not. It's not the same damn thing.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. It's not. Both are bad. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
Look, if you got caught with a young girl doing something you wasn't supposed to do, the worst
I'd
consequence.
be dismembered by my wife.
Hey, and that is the consequence
Yeah.
for such an action. Impeachment from your job. Like, should you not be able to run your company For that?
Probably, yeah, because I'm going to be dismembered. I'm just saying, she's not going to get blood on her hands.
No. I mean, your wife killing you aside.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, should you not be allowed to run your company because you got a BJ?
And
No, of course you should still be able to run your company.
here's my problem. Here's my problem right now. And I've been listening to this, going to a lot of different, obviously I listen to different radio stations, go to different sources of information. I do feel this.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel in our current climate that, kind of like Rome's burning, everybody's going to attack everybody. We're going to be torn asunder. Over what? All this has to do with the Democratic and Republican parties. It's not for the greater good of the people. It is for their power. And that's all it's about, is their power and who they can put in. Now, they need to remember something. Each one gets a little worse. Every time we elect somebody, they went after Obama in a lot of different ways. Every time we elect somebody, it gets a little uglier and a little uglier. And pretty soon, government isn't happy. All that's happening is, I'm going to get you, sucker, referring to an old movie from back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you, sucker, because I lost and you won, so I'm going to do everything I can to take you down. If the next election, 4 years from now, a Democrat gets in place, you don't think it's going to happen the same way?
I absolutely believe it.
I mean,
does.
they've been wanting to impeach Trump before he even got there.
Right.
I'm amazed that a man who took $5 million back in the late 70s and flipped it in $21 billion do this bad of a job. And what I'm getting at is that he is spending all of his political capital on a Russian Jeff Sessions stupid fucking wall. And what I'm saying is, if I pray he's got something up his sleeve for this country that's good, but the proper play here would have been to apply the law as it is written, which is, if you're found perjuring under oath, you're impeached. Period. You're gone. The cool thing about the Attorney General is you're not elected, so you don't even get impeached. You get dismissed.
You just get dismissed.
Right? So Trump could have done so much for his credibility and support his ability to get his agenda done by hanging Jeff Sessions on the rumor that he lied under oath.
Yeah.
But all that aside, getting back to, I feel that he's spending his time in, for example, the whole Obama wiretapping. You even bring this up. We have such, unless this is meant as a misdirection play to get the Democrats to focus their energies on defending their messiah,
which is exactly what I was thinking. Because
Yeah.
I'm like really.
Point this out.
I'm like honestly, I'm trying to remember the last time, like since like Watergate, have we even heard the president say that they felt like they were wiretapped from
I
the other
emailed
side?
the White House this morning. Take the F and Twitter out of his hands, please. Before the country goes to total chaos.
Yeah.
Take the F and
Mario,
give the man some sleeping pills so he sleeps at night.
Yeah.
Mario, Ben, it's no secret you guys are on the left side of the aisle.
Yeah.
But from your guys' camp, just on the mere suspicion that Sessions lied and Trump fired him, at the very least, you hate the man, that's cool. I mean, but at least would that help bolster his integrity in your eyes? Just a
absolutely,
smidge?
absolutely,
Just a smidge?
absolutely.
It's just a smidge.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
But I would also think, well, he made the right play.
Well, sure.
You know.
But, okay, so hang this guy out to dry. That's what these cabinet members are for.
Yeah.
That's what they're for.
Be a pro.
Hang them out to dry.
It's like,
He made a living on a show where he fired people,
Right.
and now somebody makes a colossal fuck up and you won't fire him.
business is amateur politics. Now you're a professional. Fucking play like one.
Yeah, well, here's what disappointed me more than anything. He had the speech,
Yeah.
and that was a good speech. That was a good speech. That was a
Obama's
motivational speech.
wiretapping me,
And so now you kind of like,
anymore.
okay, this dude's getting it. All right, he's finally starting to figure this out a little bit. And then he turns around and just bangs his head bloody on a wall over something like that.
Yeah.
If it was true, wouldn't it not been better
Well,
to let the whole investigation happen
Yeah.
Look where he's.
And they had
look where
evidence,
he's
and
sourced
then let the
that
people
information
come out
from.
with the evidence, with the Attorney General putting out the evidence, or
Yeah.
the FBI putting out the evidence instead of him saying something.
I bet Steve Bannon was whispering in his ear, "Hey, Obama."
Guys, I kind of want to run an experiment and bait the president, just see if we get a response on Twitter. When he starts pounding the immigration tom, I'm gonna at tweet him or tweet at him that China's had a wall for 1,000 years and not a single Mexican has jumped that wall. I want to see what kind of response.
See if he takes the bait.
Yeah,
That's
like
funny.
he'll retweet and be like, "See,
See, walls work.
Please don't retweet. Please don't retweet. Oh fuck.
then you become an overnight sensation, viral sensation."
All right.
I'm like, yeah, I just,
It doesn't matter which side of the aisle on.
yeah.
You are frustrated in one form or another.
Yeah, and you know, and
Seems
I've
across the board, regardless. Like there are plenty of people on the
Doesn't
other
mean
side of
it
the
doesn't
aisle,
mean
but-
that I don't have hope. Now that's one thing that's bothering me still. Even though he does these things, the left has given him very little quarter. I mean,
Well, we have to do something because
if he passes gas in the wrong place, Kellyanne Conway had her legs folded up on the couch. Oh, it's terrible! Just disrespect.
that's
Really, give me a effing break. That's all you got.
I just thought
Yeah,
that was funny.
But Dave, it's part of the game. It happened to Reagan. Happened
I
to
know,
Clinton,
but
happened to Obama.
that doesn't make it right, Lane. That
gotta
doesn't
have-
make it right. That means that once
American
again we got to
politics.
get back to what the people need.
Sure.
And quit dealing with all this BS, which is TMZ.
Exactly. No,
It's TMZ every night you turn on the news.
You and I both know it's BS, and the way you deal
can't
with BS
disagree
is
with
you
that,
ignore it.
Yeah.
You straight ignore it.
Right.
You don't respond to it. You're
Well,
the
and
president of the
that's-
United fucking
Hey,
States.
That's my thing. I'm like, it is
Like with-
for us, the electorate, to see a picture and say, hey, that's fucking disrespectful for her to have her feet up on the couch like that while he's in the room meeting with people. It is not for him to get on Twitter and say a goddamn thing about it.
Yeah.
You're the president.
But I did enjoy the photoshops with the Brazzers logo.
What was the Photoshop?
What is it, Brazzers? Brazzers. Yeah, the porn industry company. You know what I'm talking about?
They were showing a little bit of stuff on that.
It was just a picture of her on the couch and all those men around her, and it just had the logo in the bottom.
I think it's no secret that I'm on the right side of the aisle, at least
Financially,
Fiscally,
right.
fiscally on
You're
it.
fiscally
Right.
conservative.
Well,
gentlemen.
one of
Yes.
my favorite presidents ever was Lyndon Baines Johnson. And the reason why is that dude didn't threaten anybody. He didn't talk. He just, if you got in his way, he politically executed you. And he's like the anti-Trump, right? Now, Nixon got in trouble because he talked too much about his enemies and what he was going to do to them. You don't tell somebody you're going to punch them, you just do it. And then you hide the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Act like a president. That's what they do. They're the gangsters in chief. I mean,
But
You know, I've actually.
Johnson did get Forrest Gump to show him moon him and show him his butt.
that's
injury.
true.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, and I've said this on a number of occasions. Speaking of Johnson, he was an asshole. He was a raving racist.
Yep.
But
And slightly crazy.
but
I like
he
this.
did what he felt was right for the country
Sure.
when it was his turn. And I guess what
We had to
we're
kill Kennedy to get it done. But,
yeah, well, that mishap aside.
If you look
and Bobby too.
If you look at
I
which
like Bobby.
presidents were successful, they're the ones that insulated themselves from the decisions they were making. In other words, they used henchmen, right?
Yeah.
Right. Kennedy did too much on his own, got killed. Nixon loved to talk, got fired. Right.
Yeah.
George H.W. is just a pansy. But what I'm getting at is that the ones that for example, Eisenhower, that was probably the first successful modern president because he ran his presidency in the same way a general does. He sets a direction, doesn't let more than 5 people in a day hear him speak, right, or know what he's really thinking, and he works through his henchmen. Obama did the exact same thing.
Yeah, he did the
right?
exact
Clinton
same
did the
thing.
exact same thing. Reagan did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Trump is not doing the exact same thing,
No.
and it's costing him dearly.
Yeah, I'm like,
I would agree with that.
now what's funny.
And I was hoping he'd be a little different, but you're right 100% on that.
You know,
All right, so I was having this conversation with the best man at my wedding, who's also my wingman in Iraq, Sergeant Paul Ludwig, and he was calling up asking me, "Hey Lane, when are you gonna make your bid for Congress?" And I said, "No, he's serious." And,
I know,
because he and I've had these conversations. I said, "Well, I need to make a couple more million before I can float the bill." And we started talking about our target, who is what's his name, Yoder, in Johnson County. And I was talking about all the dirty, nasty stuff he's done, and how we could really stick it to him. And Paul said, "Okay, don't ever say that what you're thinking to another person again. You're going to work through me on this because no one's going to care if I do anything." And I'm like, oh.
See? You know, it's funny.
Don't go too
We're not
easy.
actually going into politics, are you?
Give me 2 more election cycles.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, no, trust me. I've got my cabinet seat picked out, homeboy. No, hey, believe it. I believe it.
You're going to do it in Kansas. Well, I guess, you know, if there's anybody who I would rather have in Kansas, it's definitely you, because you might actually make a fucking difference.
Yoder will run for governor this next
I know
term.
he will. I can't wait.
I really think he will.
That means the seat's in play.
There you go. Man,
And I've met with Yoder a couple of times at the Home Builders Association.
oh, yeah, man, look,
Makes me angry.
we wound up binge watching People versus OJ yesterday, and so there's a point where the Dream Team lawyers, one of them makes an egregious mistake and doesn't turn over part of the witness list to the other side. But Cochran turns to one of his junior lawyers and he goes, "Now is your time to fall on the sword." Yeah, like, because these guys are my lateral equals.
Yep.
I just happen to be first chair.
Right.
You, though,
You.
it's time for you to fall on your sword.
Yep.
For your client. He never said for me.
No.
For your client, which is OJ at the time, it's time for you to now fall on your sword. And guess what he did? Didn't complain one bit. He fell on his goddamn sword.
Yeah.
And he took that hit because that's what your team is there for.
It's the difference between a pro and an amateur.
My goodness. All I want, because I know, well, I would assume,
Right.
in business, Trump must operate this way. I don't know 3 businessmen that don't.
Right.
You know, that's why you have foremen. Somebody other than you has got to take the fall if something bad happens.
Mario, he's so much of a carnival barker first 4 months. I honestly think he's using the office as a business catalyst rather than
Which actually we will get to.
Absolutely.
We will actually get to because
so-
I think you're right.
Well, time will tell. I'll give him another 2 years before I pass judgment, but I want to see how he handles the implementation of his agenda, however antagonistic as it may be to the other side. I want to see what he does for growth to the economy like he's promised. Otherwise, he's just doing this to boost his ratings.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You know, I agree with you 100% on that. But he does need that time because he's laid out some reasonable visions.
Well, this legislation is going to take the legislative cycle is about 2 years long from the moment an idea is made.
And
This time in 2 years.
if things get better and things come to fruition on some things that he wants to do,
Right.
he will enamor the public on it. If he could do something for inner city somehow,
Right.
he will enamor the public. If he can do something for education, he will enamor the public. But these see, it's easy for you to sit there and go,
But I just don't see it.
because you don't see it.
I don't see. I'm not saying I'm not giving him a chance.
But if you can't do it,
I'm not saying I'm not giving him
Hey,
a chance.
guys,
I'm just saying I don't
You know,
see
it's
it.
one thing that politicians don't talk about, that if you crunch the numbers, you'll see in one little piece of legislation, Trump can make the Affordable Care Act work and also balance the budget. A little piece of legislation. And that is called collective bargaining, right? He didn't want to mention that, right? He's kind of flirted with the idea, but right now it is expressly prohibited in Medicare that
you can have any collective bargaining.
right, and you can't bid, right? You
Right.
can't negotiate. The price is the price.
Nope.
Right. So what I'm saying is by making it competitive, because right now our drug prices are about 600% of what they are in Europe. in Canada,
Yeah.
it's because of that law. That
Right.
one, right. You take that law away, sure,
Which was set up by lobbyists.
right. It'll tank the pharmaceutical industry, but how many people in the United States are actually employed by the pharmaceutical industry? Who cares?
Yeah,
It's
my
a small
family.
percentage.
I come
Yeah,
from
right.
a family of pharmacists.
Right.
They would tell you the same thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we fixed that little law, right? And what it really comes down to, the Republicans are not against the Affordable Care Act because it's socialized medicine. They're against the Affordable Care Act because it is the next step to this little law that I'm talking about. Because they're in the pockets of the pharmaceutical
Well,
companies.
I'll even add a little bit to this. My sister, my dad
the
built up
same
a
reason they're
pharmacy.
against weed.
My sister bought the pharmacy and kept it running and did very well.
Yeah.
But when they passed Pan B Medicare, she was only allowed to make $1 or $2 on each prescription that came through on Medicare. In a rural area where Crooksville, Missouri is the largest town in a rural area, most of the people are on Medicare. So all of a sudden she can't make any money. Well, how did the lobby on this happen?
Yeah.
Well, it happened from your Walgreens, it happened from your CVS, it happened from your Walmart, it happened from all these
They
big
squeezed the little
corporate
retailers.
pharmacies
Yeah.
as a way to eliminate the small independent businessman.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the deal. This is what's happened to a lot of our health care. Now, I did have one hell of a laugh on the way in because the Republicans have passed some legislation to redo what the health care ACA is. And Chuck Schumer got on the radio and said, the Republicans are going to hold this, and you're not going to have a chance to read it until they pass it, basically.
That's what they said, word for word.
Not quote unquote. And then, of course, I started howling because, wait a second, this is exactly what Pelosi said. Are you out of your mind even making that statement? You know how many people are going to take you seriously?
Oh yeah.
See, that's
I have a
that's-
way we can get them to take it seriously.
That was an insane statement. I'm sorry. That was an insane statement.
You know, Trump can change by fiat. It doesn't require a law. Trump could say, okay, here's the deal. Congress, your medical is now the Affordable Care Act. Now fix it. It doesn't require a law to do that. No. He can force it on them.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
So, you know,
Hey,
Yes.
hey, tomorrow our healthcare system will be fixed.
Did you know that
If
Congress
had to use the same medical care that the rest of us
now,
use.
Yeah.
I'll give you, now we slid into this topic a little bit. It's an interesting topic. Because I was working really hard to get insurance for my employees, of course.
Sure.
Because I want to take care of my people.
Right.
If I did not pick up the group plan, of which I went out of 45 employees right now, I had 11 last year, I'm down to 8 this year. But I do have a mix of younger and older, believe it or not. I have a really good balance. Because the old ones are really old like me, and the young ones, I got some, because I put 100 into it, they're like, taking out $20, $30 a check for their health insurance, which is nothing.
Absolutely.
That's,
I would jump on that.
That's a great chance for
Yep.
it. But if I didn't do a health plan through my business, and since I still live in Missouri, even though my business is in Kansas, the only carrier I had was Blue Cross Blue Shield in Missouri. I had a plan, a carrier. Now, that shows you how bad this is screwed up.
Yep.
And that's why ACA is in a death spiral. It isn't going to work.
There's a second fix. Oh, you brought that up. Trump actually mentioned it in his speech. Right now, Medicare plans can't jump borders. It's state specific.
Interstate
Right.
commerce will
Yeah,
fix a lot of things.
Yes, Trump has come out and said that's one of his big agendas is to allow the exchanges to compete cross border. That'll do a lot to help with.
And then
So, okay, so I got a question for the
one more
group.
quick thing.
Yeah,
One more
go
quick thing. Let me add into it. Not only that, here's the other thing. You realize how much regulation we have put in place
it's killing
on the
me.
healthcare industry?
Sure.
That you have to have somewhere between 25 and 35 administrators per doctor to make sure that they've taken care of the red tape and all the things that all the can't think of the word compliance that they have to do. What if you could eliminate a lot of that? Now that means people are going to go out of work. Oh, geez, I feel bad because they aren't going to get their money, but I got health care that I can afford, and we can get people who have existing conditions and all people insured to where we got 70-80% of the public insured at least.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about that.
Okay, so
So now go ahead.
so my question is, because what it sounds like just here at the table isn't actually repeal and replace.
No, I think it's
What it sounds like is
make it work.
fix what's wrong.
Right.
Fix what's wrong. That's
Wait.
all we want.
But I think you may be more rational conservatives in that regard.
Oh, please don't call me a conservative. I'm a libertarian.
Well, true, very true. But I do think that you have a large, unfortunately, segment of the Republican Party that because Obama introduced it, they want to repeal it.
Well, it's Kool-Aid.
And I think,
And the left drinks a lot of Kool-Aid too. We
Yeah,
can
yeah,
go
yeah,
back
oh,
to
yeah,
the
yeah,
party.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
This is
it's all-
Kool-Aid.
yeah,
They aren't smart enough on either side to go and get real facts.
Yeah, just
They
just
take what
fix
they
the
want to
problem.
listen to, what website they want to go to, what radio station they want to listen to get their facts from. Instead of turning around and going out and getting your information. Don't be ignorant. Get your information. Don't buy into something just because somebody said something.
Yeah, I was looking at Bill Maher. One of his panelists, he was a conservative, and he was saying, well, I guess the question was something to the effect of what did he feel was the biggest problems right now facing the country and the party system, and he says the biggest problem is we've gone away from a set of facts. At this point, we really have two silos of fact. Mm-hmm. One side is really not facts, but it's hard to tell people that want to believe that this is true that it's not true. Hey, what's going on, podcasters? Let's acknowledge the good friends of the Loft Party Podcast. The Majestic Restaurant and Pendergast Club, carrying on Kansas City's tradition of great food and great jazz, 931 Broadway in Kansas City, Missouri. The J. Rieger Kansas City Distillery, whiskey, gin, vodka. That is, oh so good. And friend of the podcast and panelist, Lane Boland, managing to keep the podcast going. Apparently wealthy or not. Now onto our regularly scheduled program. As a matter of fact, I was looking at this thing, and there was a study done where they got a group of people together. They gave them something to read that was fake news. It was just not factual. Mm-hmm. The conservative people at the table were like, "Oh hell yeah, this is what's up. I knew this was true." Then they brought out the actual facts, and they called it the double down theory. Yeah. So they brought out the actual facts. They had everybody read the actual facts, and they said, "Okay, so the first thing you read was actually fake. The second thing you read was actual facts." And they said every conservative at the table, and conversely, depending on some of the facts, some of the liberals at the table were just tripling and doubling down on no. That's true. That's true. Because they just want it to be true.
Yep.
And because
confirmation bias is what that's called, correct?
And we're at that place where if you can find the fact that makes you feel good, then it's the fact.
I was going to equate that to the same elation you get whenever you buy something, shopping.
Yeah.
So you're buying.
Here's an interesting
going.
fact.
It's what Google does to you every single day.
Sure.
I have an interesting
They
fact.
track you.
Yeah.
They know what you do. They know
what
who
you
you
like.
are. Everything. Communist.
Of the 535 members of Congress, 117 have bankrupted not one, but at least two businesses. And 7 of the 535 members of Congress have been arrested for fraud.
Amazing.
Holy
Could we imagine that?
And everybody out there in podcast land, you've elected these people.
71
You
have
get what you pay for.
Oh, here's another one. 71 of the 535 have credit reports so bad they can't even qualify for a credit card.
Why wouldn't you need to? You got the government credit card.
and you've elected these people.
Now, and this goes back, Jesse Jackson Jr., an Illinois senator, who ended up losing his mind and going to jail. is getting $138,000 a year.
Yes, he is.
He gets a pension.
Yes, he is. Which I have said on several occasions. One, make Congress and Senate be on the same health plan as everybody else.
Yep.
Two, limit the number of years you can receive this pension. Now, with any other business, what are you, 20 and out before you can retire and get a full pension? Yep. Yeah, if
Generally more than that.
Yeah, but even
because the Teamsters are having a battle right
guys.
now because they took their damn pension away from them.
My uncle, who raised me like a son, just recently, his daughter was proposed to. When the young man asked my uncle for permission, my uncle demanded to see his credit report, and I find that interesting. I think congressmen should have to pass a credit check before they're sworn into office, because these are the same people that are writing the laws on stuff like mortgages.
Duh.
How the hell can you write a law when you can't even get one yourself?
Yeah, well, I guess to me that should be one of the requirements. Like, okay, so you got enough signatures? All right, turn those in. Now we're gonna run your credit to see. Hey, look, you need to do the same damn thing if you get a job.
Yeah,
this is a job.
I'm honestly surprised that that's not already a thing. I did not know that.
And until cannabis is legalized, they should also have to pass a drug test before getting sworn into office.
I don't disagree with that. In fact, off subject real quick, all these states have passed these legalization laws.
Yeah.
They say that they need 300,000 people, like in California and some of these other states, to fill the jobs that the cannabis industry is going to do.
Yeah.
And being a former heavy pot smoker myself back in the day, I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, what chance do I have to hire somebody into the construction trade when they can just go get themselves stoned every goddamn day raising marijuana and the various jobs that come with it? And they will. They will get themselves stoned all the time. It's right there. They're going to be stoned.
Yeah.
So, number one, how does that workforce perform? That's the first scary part. Number two, we're going to start seeing 30 years from now, and I won't be around to worry about it, I hope, that they're going to start having health issues.
Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think so.
Oh, yeah.
Wait.
Don't think they won't.
You're
smoking pot every
from
day,
cannabis?
you're going to have health issues.
Like what?
Because, number one, your first health issue is you're stupid.
Okay, well, granted.
That's a health issue. It's when you're stupid, you do stupid things.
I love it.
So, you wreck a car. You walk into a pole because you're looking at your phone while you're stoned.
Okay, so
you step into a street and get run over by a
I don't
freaking
think
bus.
there's any evidence that if you smoke pot long term that you get that stupid.
I
You may
think-
have some short term memory loss, but
I think you're going to have a lot of health effects from it and the reason I say this is because they're really growing a lot of high-tech shit. These kids aren't smoking the shit we smoked back
no, of
in
course
the day.
not. But they're also doing it accordingly.
But there's...
A hit or two.
Don't know.
Well,
I love the fact we're having a discussion about weed.
I have recently smoked some
I
of
have to
this
agree with you,
high-tech shit.
Out there podcast land, this was actually not on my list of topics, but I'm really happy we're having a meeting talk right now. It was awesome.
Now, we have what we call the men's fall camp out every year, and it's 18 of us show up, and the wives and the girlfriends don't show up, so we don't have anybody to tell us we're screwing up. We don't have anybody to tell us what to do. We have nobody to tell us that we're on a schedule. So Rick brought some of this high-test shit from Colorado, and I smoked some. Now, I only get high once or twice a year. And I sat there by the river in my chair on a beautiful sunny day, and I put on the Allman Brothers, and I watched the river go by for 3 hours. Because there's basically not a whole lot else I could have done. All right? This isn't your 45-minute buzz and I'm good and then
Sitting
smoke
there
another one.
stuck.
Okay,
That's
let me be
indica.
honest with you about that. That's a tolerance issue. Because there are people
He's
who
calling you a bitch, Dave.
No,
It sounded a little bit like you a bitch ass. That's what it sounded like.
that's not what I'm saying. Listen. The people who
hilarious.
smoke that on a regular basis don't get nearly as high on
Well,
it.
okay,
as you do.
I get that because
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of Colombian brown bud, which I distributed. Did not say sell, I distributed.
Sure.
Back a long time ago. And when we first got it in, That stuff was,
The old Reggie.
I mean,
Reggie.
that was good stuff. But by the end of summer, we've been smoking it all summer, and it didn't.
Oh, I'm good.
It wasn't the same effect that we had when we first started that spring when I bought the first bale in the town. And I understand that, because like I said, I smoked a lot of shit back in my day.
Sure.
But I also know why I smoked that shit. I was a total fuck up. I couldn't get out of school. It wasn't because I wasn't smart, it was because I was stoned. And the stoned worker is not a good worker. And it does not ever matter. They can pass legalized marijuana in all 50 states. But if you're working, especially in construction or something, and you get hurt, and I drug test you, which I have to do, then you can pay the price because you may not get covered.
I understand not wanting people to be stoned when
On the job.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
On
that
a
necessarily.
job where they could hurt themselves.
Yes, exactly. As you all know, I'm a bartender. I work in the service industry. I personally choose not to do that with work. You know?
Okay.
And nor I rarely smoke marijuana in the first place. But there are plenty of high-functioning people who work in non-dangerous jobs who can do that, and it doesn't really impact their work. And really, I think it depends on the strain. There's more high-functioning marijuana that's fucking D-straight shit.
But you're saying high-functioning people. What about the people that aren't high-functioning people?
Then that's something they need to suss out and decide.
You know,
like,
they're screwing up because they're not getting to work.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, and that's their personal choice, and that's their
They
problem.
turn into the pot culture where I'm gonna sit around and hang out and smoke a bong with everybody all day.
Yeah, and not pay their bills and be shitbags.
And,
Yeah, I agree.
they fall into the cracks, and then who pays for them when they fall into the cracks? They have to get on welfare. The taxpayer pays for the stupid fucker being
Then
stoned.
we need to revamp welfare where it doesn't benefit those people.
Drug test welfare people. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they're obviously spending that money on
I would
stuff
drug
they shouldn't
test
be.
welfare.
Hey guys, pursuant to that, this nation of Portugal decriminalized everything. I mean, heroin, weed, coke, everything. On the caveat that if you're on public assistance, you're getting drug tested every month, right? And two, if you're on, and they define public assistance as what we call welfare and also socialized medicine. In other words, what we call Medicare. So if you
Trip, kill the cartels.
right, if you come up on that, you're kicked off the system
Yeah, you kill the system.
forever.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
I would agree with that.
So with that piece of legislation, they watch tax revenues go up, crime rate go down, and
Yeah. Well, and we need to
Look at-
educate the population.
Well, you look
on
at
our
Maryland
crimes.
right now, where they've declared a state of emergency on opioid use.
Who?
Maryland, where Paul is.
oh, on what?
Your wingman.
On what juice?
Opiates.
Opiates.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Well,
I
same
can
thing with
never
like West
say it.
Virginia.
Something in there, the New England accent does pick up. But basically heroin and
Yeah.
Oxycontin, oxycodone, and all these things.
Well, good.
Where they get hooked up because they start on the pills, the heroin is cheap, and then they die.
Yep.
All right? And
Yeah, oxys. I mean, look,
They
I
have
understand
a
there's some
state of
people that have
emergency.
pain on that level, but oxy's a hard, harsh drug that there is only one way to go if you can't get those pills.
They're expensive.
And that is to start doing heroin because
Well,
it is synthetic heroin,
I have
basically.
a personal story that relates directly to this. I have a cousin, or had a cousin, if you will, a long time ago, who had an opiate addiction. He was put into a rehab system on methadone,
methadone.
and he just relapsed, dead. Stockbroker, husband,
A lot of promise.
father of 3 children.
Ah,
Look,
Well, but that's the problem with not educating the populace on narcotics and addiction and having an abstinence policy. And I mean the same with birth control as well and sex education. Abstinence and disregard to education on the pitfalls of said things doesn't work. It creates more problems than it solves. That's the direction we need to go.
I've had several cops now say legalize it all.
Absolutely.
I know cops have said that.
Oh, yeah, personally,
I've had
yeah.
law enforcement up here in the club that I've had that exact conversation with.
yeah, personally.
My father
I would
was a
too.
prosecutor for 25 years, and he thinks that we should at the very least, legalize marijuana.
So this brings us back to the central point of the podcast today, and that is the president needs to stop being baited by shit that doesn't matter. Fix the problems that
Fix
do.
the problems that actually do.
But we have to ask ourselves, does he actually care about those problems? I mean,
Yeah.
so he repealed Obama's executive order on private prisons.
On what?
private prisons. Private prisons are of
Contract
a
prisons.
a cancer to our society. And then on top of that, he wants to bolster the DEA's initiative to put more people in prison for marijuana offenses. I mean,
Yeah,
if that's not
now
like,
here- now
if
here's-
that's not obvious.
I disagree with that.
Now
I'm with you on that.
Here's my direct problem with that. If you elect a guy who doesn't drink, smoke, or do drugs, he's not going to have any tolerance for people that do.
Yeah.
And now that the Republicans have the executive and the legislative branch of government,
And soon to be probably judicial as well.
it is not. It sounds far fetched, but it's not far fetched at all to think that they're going to say, you know what, we don't like any of this shit, and we should just do away with it. And we know what happened to the country the last time we had any real prohibition. Yeah, I mean,
It brought on the Cosa Nostra. It brought on everything.
exactly.
And the mafia turned around once prohibition was over. Turned around and got into the drugs.
But that's
And the drugs went into the poverty plantations and ruined the family units
Yeah.
and ruined generation upon generation of people, not just black and white.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and even Latino somewhat,
Well,
but
I mean, this is
more
a
than anything black and
direct
white.
result of the private prison lobby and profit on people incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses.
Yeah, I mean that's just some industries that I don't feel like should be
Absolutely
the profit
not.
motive should be involved at all.
Incarceration on nonviolent offenses is directly tantamount to human misery.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's
you know,
and that's something that we're
Well,
bringing
they're
back.
going to learn more bad habits in prison than they're going to learn out of it.
oh well,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, you,
But
you,
that's my
crime.
point is,
yeah, you go right. I mean, that really is
don't
the
care.
criminal college when you
Go
go.
get your
when-
criminal MBA.
yeah, when you go to prison, you learn how to be a criminal.
But that's the cycle, though.
No,
They
not only
they're-
that.
They're running to the bank with that. They're saying, "Good. I hope they do come back to prison because we're
Oh, yeah.
we're a for-profit entity. Please keep them in the system because that's our dollars.
Well,
that's our budget.
let's
That's our bottom line."
get even more deeper. That when they go to prison, they're quite likely to be raped.
Yeah, because prison rape culture is accepted in America, which is
So-
another thing that I could fucking get into. Like,
So
I can't
now-
believe there's so many people who are pro-rape.
You're getting this person out of prison that has been raped. The psychological issues of that scars
That's
them
gonna
for life.
right.
Yep.
Exactly.
How many times have you had a conversation with somebody who some terrible person went to jail and they were like, "Well, good, they're gonna get raped."
And I've always said, are you serious?
So many times. Oh, and they expect it to be like that's a normalized ideology. It's
Well,
like,
sure it is.
Yeah,
This is, the crazy
that's
thing.
fucked.
I remember working with a guy, and he was kind of an unskilled contractor that I used to work for this small construction company. He did rehabs on houses and apartment buildings and stuff like that. But he would always hire this guy, and we always used to tease and call him the crackhead contractor because he really wasn't a crackhead. He probably was a drunk, or whatever. But he would underbid everybody because he needed the money. But I remember one day we were talking and we had started laughing about something. And you know how you laugh and you be like, man, shit. And you like smack a knee or smack a shoulder or something. And I remember I laughed and smacked his knee, and that sumbitch turned into a different human altogether. He's like, man, don't touch me. Don't touch me. I was like, whoa, hey, partner. And like it hit me that
You've been in prison.
he had been in prison
Yeah.
in that moment. I mean, you had always thought that maybe he had probably been.
It's a type of PTSD.
Yeah, but in that moment, I absolutely knew he had been in prison, and it really did get me to thinking, like what happened to him in there, and like you say, how kind of normalized, because I've even caught myself saying it for people who
Have done really horrible shit.
really horrible shit,
Yeah.
like rape children or something crazy. I'm like, yeah, I hope
He's
going
gonna
to
get what he deserves.
Yeah,
I know.
but let's be.
And that's not I'm not saying that like you're a demon for thinking that. That's a very human response. You're looking at eye for an eye. It's very. It goes back.
But nobody
so
deserves that type of shit.
Yeah.
It's-
I go back to medieval times and what they did to some of the people then, like in Braveheart.
I mean, shit, you stole, they cut off your hand, you raped, they cut off your genitals. It's crazy. Crazy shit.
I know it's a bad thing to think
But
that, but I could go.
You had a whole lot less of all of that shit.
Well,
'Cause
yeah, I guess what you're saying
if
is
you were,
it's
if you
ingrained
might
in
lose
us,
your genitals,
No, I'm saying you put that son of a bitch out in public and stick one of them things in his gut and rip him up.
Yeah.
That'll stop a lot of people from raping people.
Jeez.
But that doesn't.
I know I'm sick. I know I'm sick on
stops
that, but
people
yeah,
from.
you know,
That's
we can't go there
a
anymore.
short-term solution, though. We have to, as a species, figure out what happens in the brain that makes people like.
Well, a
act
lot of
that
it's
way.
meth. It's a well-proven fact. My wife was very
Nah,
trained
there's
in meth.
plenty of sober
No.
people who rape people.
Meth triggers something in the brain that has.
I don't-
So many of the meth users are also child abusers.
Yeah.
There's something that
Oh, I
triggers in
know that very
brain.
well. Yeah.
That's a fact.
Like I said,
That's
my
just a
father
fact.
was a prosecutor for 25 years, and I mean, even a personal story again is we were driving down the road one day and we saw a couple playing tug of war with their kid. You know, like one arm, the other one had the other arm, and they were yanking it up like a toddler, right? And my dad pulled over, got out of the car, yelled at him, told him to put the fucking kid down, and I guess they handled it there some way or another, and then 3 weeks later, lo and behold, my dad kind of got what was going on, I guess.
Standing before the bench.
Oh yeah. And they went system. But I remember sitting in that car. I was like 12, you know. But rape is not. Trust me, and I know this. Rape is not. There's not a monopoly on rape in drug culture. There are people who are,
Straight and narrow, but they're
oh,
sick.
absolutely.
They're sick.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a humanity. It's a
But
humanity.
they haven't been. Somewhere along the line, though, something went wrong in how they were raised and taught that allows that deprivation to prevail.
Well, that's not the only
And then I
thing.
can even blame some of it anymore on the internet. There's some dark places on the internet you can go to.
Of course, sir.
And this allows people to have dark thoughts. And if they decide to explore their dark, everybody has a dark thought, but you go, oh shit, where did that come from?
Right, but
If you're a sane person, if you're starting to lose it and you decide to go further into it, you can become very depraved very quickly.
Yeah.
You can step into a realm that you shouldn't even be close to.
Sure.
And you stepped over that line. And God help you if you hit that place.
I don't know, man. I think they would have done it anyway. I mean, I'm sure that the internet has probably bolstered some of that.
Yeah,
behavior.
sure.
Well, I don't know if I fully think that the internet has bolstered rape culture, but I do think that it's added to people with different types of sexual dysfunction. I mean, if you think about it like this,
You can find your perversion. On the internet.
but I think the
look at the
problem
parallel
goes
of what's
back.
going on right now with racist culture.
Yeah. I think the problem.
Same thing.
I
When you
think
get more exposed,
I think
you feel better. You feel more emboldened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the problem, in Shakespearean time when he was writing and they were performing his plays, when there were graphic acts of sex or violence, they dialogued through it and not acted it out, because even then they believed if you saw too much of it, you would get desensitized to it, and that would have an effect on society. And of course,
But I also wonder about that because there have been plenty of studies done that violence in video games doesn't necessarily bolster violent tendencies.
But it doesn't help.
No, I'm not saying it helps. I'm saying it's not a gigantic problem that a lot of people want to believe it is.
Yeah, the basement get construction job, you dumbass.
And maybe I'm biased because I'm a gamer, but it's I've looked into it and it seems as though that there isn't much of a correlation to it. That anybody with that chemical imbalance would have done it anyway.
yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, once again, I don't know if I believe that that's true. I mean, I do believe you spend too much time on a game, your relationship's gonna fucking suffer. Because, your girlfriend's not going to fucking deal with that shit for too long. That's just what it is. But, we have digressed, and let me get to the last topic because we've actually at least loosely touched on everything else on my list. And the last topic is why in the hell are we paying for security on Trump's grown ass kids?
Okay, I agree that we were spending way too much on that. I will say this though, I have to. You can't not,
well, okay, now
because whenever one of them gets hit, like they'll be like, "Well, we should have had security."
well, okay. This is my thought. This is just me. So you're a child, you know, maybe even through going to college, you know, but like once you're like out, you're a grown adult, probably with kids of your own, running businesses.
And
Why
the fact that they're rich too.
Why is the Secret Service on you?
They could afford their own
Yeah,
security.
that's all I'm saying.
Okay, yes.
Like at a certain point,
I agree with that. Terry.
at a certain point, like I'm not saying, because I do get
They
that,
do need security.
I do get that the Secret Service follows not only you but your entire family. But I guess my issue is grown kids.
So let's go back to
Because we're spending a
grown-ass humans are
lot
so-
of money. We're spending a lot of money on Secret Service following Trump's grown kids.
Well, don't you think Mrs. Robinson had, Michelle's mother
Yeah,
had some Secret Service?
I'm sure she did, but at
She
the
wasn't
same
traveling all over the country for her business endeavors.
but at the same exactly. If she's basically there to help nanny the minor children,
Right.
I can see that. But we're talking grown kids who don't have anything to do with the White House, but because they're his kids.
Now,
And like you can't afford your own private security
this
service.
thing, I know it's not a Vanna because she is actually in the White House. But remember the incident.
But that's it. That's just
remember
it.
the
She's
incident-
not supposed to be in the White House either.
Well, remember the incidents on the plane where her and her husband are on a plane in coach
Yeah,
with their two kids,
I remember that.
yeah.
and
They were
the
just
two
verbally harassed.
gay
them.
Jewish guys from New York. One of them came up and just went off on her
Yeah,
in the plane.
I do remember.
Well,
that.
and I don't think
Now
that
he's in the
anybody,
plane, so he probably doesn't have a gun. He probably doesn't have anything. But what if he jumped on her and started punching her?
Yeah, no, I get them having security.
You got to have something there, and it's.
I get
But
them having
but
security.
generally-
I don't know why the American public's paying
But,
for their security.
how many
Okay, so I
how many
guess
people that are
here's
out of the
the-
presidency and their families still have Secret Service?
Well, absolutely.
And I
But
guess
once
here's
again,
the other side of the argument.
your
is-
grown kids. You were the president. Your wife was the first lady. Your kid is now grown. Why do they still have Secret Service?
Because-
I just don't understand that.
because
And
they could come to harm based on association.
If the wrong people get them,
Look, okay.
they can really create a problem.
No, and I understand that. I really do.
And
I
you're
really
saying
do.
you're saying that they need private security.
Exactly. Because and the reason I'm saying that is we all know at this juncture it is virtually impossible to get into the White House if you're not a rich man or woman. So therefore, you have the means and resources to hire security. Now, you as the president, first lady, yes, that is not only your privilege; it is your right to have Secret Service for the rest of your life. Perfectly cool with that. But your grown children who have nothing to do with the White House directly, why do they have Secret Service? I just can't fully wrap my brain around.
I guess that sets a precedent.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if
So
it sets
say
a precedent.
no,
because
hold on.
Could
Hear me out.
Bush,
Hear me out.
Could a Bush or some of those people have security for their
Hey,
kids?
say a poor man gets elected president. You
Say who?
a poor man.
Somebody who doesn't have money.
Somebody, yes.
Like the Pope?
So do we just choose like, well, if you're rich, we we don't cover your security, but if you're poor, we don't.
To me, it's the same thing as with the Affordable Care Act. You can stay on your parents' insurance until you're 26. Now, get your own goddamn insurance because you're grown. You're a grown ass man or woman with kids of your own.
Let's back up and look
Like,
at something.
and I'm not being insensitive to the fact that things can happen, to or around the grown children. I just don't know why the American taxpayer is paying for them for the
Well,
rest of
guys,
their lives.
Let's take Trump. He takes $1 a year for his salary.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's what he said he's going to do, but it's actually legally
It is
not possible. for him to take.
constitutionally impossible for him not to accept salary. This happened when George Washington
He
became president.
can never
He was
spend
the
it,
richest man,
but he has to take
in
the salary.
America, and they said we have to pay you a salary because that sets up a precedent for only rich people to. They take presidency, and then they say, "Oh, I'm not going to take a salary." So if a poorer man takes a salary, he looks worse.
What if he took a salary and donated it to charity? Would that be illegal?
No, that would not
No,
be illegal. But
no,
that's not what he's doing.
no.
He just said he wasn't going to take a
Yeah,
salary.
no, he can
but he
donate
is.
charity.
Hey guys, it comes down to leverage in terms of security of information. So long as President Trump is in office, kids, his family, anybody that has a relationship of blood or affinity to the president, regardless of how wealthy they are, they have to be secured purely for national security reasons. As soon as he's out of office,
Is that by law?
well, no, yes, it's by law and it's also common sense. But I mean, like,
Immediate family.
So you're saying that once he's out of office, the kids don't have the service.
right, but he will.
Okay, and I can.
Does Chelsea,
I can-
does Chelsea have Secret Service?
Not anymore. No.
Okay,
No.
I was just curious.
And I can, in knowing that, I can deal with that. Because I'm thinking of the Secret Service as it is
just-
for the president and first lady.
It
where-
just kind of sucks.
Because
That's the situation we have now, where we have these business people
Yeah,
running
you
around
have-
the country
you
and
have
costing
four.
us money.
Yeah, you have 4 grown kids who are running around the country doing business for their father.
Yeah.
And Secret
Yeah,
Service.
it sucks.
Yeah.
But hey, look, if we think we have a Russian problem now, imagine we didn't have this
Yeah.
protection.
It's actually pretty good. that Secret
KGB would have
Service is in,
snatched up
so-
Ivanka in a heartbeat.
That's kind of my point.
Or they'd be
All right.
somewhere whispering in their ear. You know,
Okay.
like, yeah.
All right, I can.
I think
It's
you
good
gotta
to keep.
look at
It's
it
good
in
to
that
keep
perspective.
eyes on those assets.
Ivanka would be Putin's little pet.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I can take that.
It sucks, but
I can take that.
unfortunately necessary in my opinion.
I can take that. All right. So at least for the next 4 years, we will be. The American public will
Yeah.
be paying for his kids to have
Yeah,
some
but we're
service.
draining the swamp, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, actually, we
Like, I got one RIP.
okay.
Yeah.
I have an RIP. My uncle Waddell died last night.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Sorry to
He
hear
lived
that.
a good long life. He was 86 years old. Korean War vet.
Okay.
Damn.
I've never seen a picture of him in his uniform.
Oh, okay.
He's a sharp dude, man. He had that edge about him, you know. I mean, I've never seen a picture of Lane in his uniform. I bet she had that edge too.
Those are buried.
I have
I'm
seen
retired.
one.
I don't think he looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. I bet you he was pretty sharp.
Oh, he was svelte, as they say.
And it
Lean
was
and mean, with a saber and everything.
anyway. He took care of my aunt. He was the third husband for my aunt, and he took care of her for 32 years. So shout out to my Uncle Dale. Did all right.
Rest in peace, Uncle Dale.
Rest in peace, Uncle Dale.
I guess with that, I think we've covered everything that I set out to cover, and a couple things that I didn't know we were going to cover.
Which is what's great about podcasts. You
It's
never
just-
know
well,
where we're gonna go.
Exactly. So with that, I'm going to end this podcast in the way I end all podcasts. And that is with the toast that started all of this for me. And that is to good times with good